to Well Drafted, an architecture and design podcast. Creative, crazy, and curious. Hi, I'm Shrina, an aspiring architect, and this show is here for us to connect. I'm your host for the show. Come join me as I take you through an array of architecture and design discussions. Hi everyone, we have Keyosha Shroff with us today, who is currently a student in architecture at SEPT University. She happens to love life and live it to its fullest. Passionate about martial arts, diving, traveling, and so much more you can't get a hold of. She's here to tell us about her ongoing journey at Archi School. So, hi Keyosha.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I am nervous. I'm more nervous than when I first started architecture school. So,
Really? So tell us, you just finished first year, right?
Yes.
So how has your journey been so far?
It has been great, but more than that, it has been very, very different from what school was, and it has been just a completely new experience for me, and I love that part about it.
How has it been different from school for you? Can you give us some points? It's still a school, see.
Yeah.
The thing is, you go out in our field, you move out from school to go to another school, unlike other of our friends who move out from school and go to college. So, how has your school been different?
Okay, so to put it simply, it was just very liberating because you've come there with a mindset of studying, or but here learning can be very, very different. It's just a very free environment where you can think and do whatever you might want to. I mean, the possibility is endless here. There is not much restriction. There's no reading and writing, which is like a very new thing for us coming from school.
Right. So, what are the kind of subjects you are dealing with currently in architecture school?
Okay, so my first year was basically a foundation program, which means we did everything that had to do with product design, interior design, communication design, or even civil engineering, some aspects of that with architecture. So it was an accumulation of a lot of fun projects, which it was a module system basically. So there was 2 weeks of doing
each subject.
Yeah, 2 weeks of each subject, exactly. And the one thing that was constant throughout was a research and writing course, and the second part of it, which was studio, where we did these different things.
So, has you gave an entrance exams to get into architecture school?
Right.
Which one was it?
NATA.
NATA, right. So, is it very similar to the kind of things you were dealing with NATA, or has it been different?
It's pretty similar. I mean, we've studied all of those things before. You're still continuing doing the exact same things, and I think NATA was too good with the exact things that you're going to do. So it's a good way to judge students. So yeah, it's similar, but that was very superficial here. You get to the depth of it, and you get to do it. It's more about learning by doing, which I've felt here, rather than just understanding or reading or knowing about it.
So tell us about what does your schedule typically, or a typical architecture day look like?
Okay, so my day starts at 6:30. I wake up at 6:30. Yeah, it's very early, and then I leave home at 7:30 in the morning.
My God.
To reach college at 8. Okay. So every morning from 8 to 10 we have this research and writing course where basically we just write about our studio exercises, reflect on them. It teaches us communication, where we get to know about how to deal professionally with clients, and
that's a nice subject. That's something different than what we guys did, yeah.
And it's so very relevant. It's really helpful to have studied that in the first year itself for future. And then from 10:30 to 1:30 we have the normal studio with one-on-one discussions with the faculties, and on 2 days a week we have a class from 2:30 to 5:30 with the teaching assistants who are there to help us with it. On the rest of the days we are on our own to work. And then
so what do you do rest of the days? Do you get time to socialize, or do you get time to sleep? Do you get time to do all the things normal human beings do?
Not really. I mean, you have to really find your way through it. I feel there was a large difference in my first semester and my second semester because in the first semester I was really struggling to get a hold of architecture school itself in the first place, to find out a schedule to adjust to the new world. And then now that I knew how it all works, it was much better and I could plan out my day accordingly because I knew what to expect, which I didn't earlier. So yeah, that way you have to really manage your time well if you want time for yourself or want time to do things like socializing.
Yeah, but you have to choose your battles, right?
Exactly.
So that triangle that we were talking about the other day. So I told Kiyosha one day when when we met, and she asked me that how did you have fun in architecture school? It's not like that you don't have fun in the school, but you're constantly and simultaneously working, even if you're with your friends. So you either, there are like, I read it somewhere, but there are 3 points: work, social life, and sleep. And in architecture, you get to choose any 2. So the third one
is always left.
Some or the other time. So you choose your battles according to your time.
And this has always stuck with me. I mean, it's my favorite thing ever. That's just so true.
So what's your favorite part about your design life, design school?
It's the excitement when there's something new to do. And I have seen that there are just 2 kinds of people. Some people who enjoy working in studio or just like having a set mindset, having a fixed time of working. But I like the uncertain part of it, like the field visits, so the time when we're on site or when we're just doing some background work or the trips, and that's the fun of it. Like you're constantly working, even through the nights you're working, but there is a certain fun of doing something new and the challenges that come with it. So
do you have any experiences that you recently went through that you'd want to share with such a field trip or something?
Oh yes. So like we had this mapping exercise where we were mapping the flower market at Jamalpur in Ahmedabad. And if you know, the vegetable and the flower market starts really early
in the morning.
It goes on throughout the night, right? So for these 2 weeks, we were supposed to be on site at 4 a.m.
So that's your favorite part? Oh my god, okay. Of course, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I dreaded being on the site. Like, I was still always that studio girl.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, go on.
So this wasn't my favorite. The 4 a.m. wasn't my favorite at all, but it was just so new for me to... I think architecture really celebrates traveling and exploring new places like no other field has ever done.
And in a different perspective.
In a very different
Nobody else can see it the way you do.
So yeah, and I live pretty far away from the site, so I had to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning for like 2 weeks straight in order to be on site at 4 a.m.
Oh my god.
And then 4 to 11, you are just here in the middle of thousands of people running their businesses and going on with their life, and it's still dark and you're just sleepy, but you still are standing in the middle of the chaos and with a sketchbook and 10 people asking you questions about what you're doing. This hour.
Never without your probably sketchbook and your drafting board. Everybody, all of you who think we go on these trips and have fun,
exactly.
The fun we are having is we are drawing. That's the only fun we are having. So, because you talked about how you've learned to manage time, your schedule. After the first semester, I'm sure everybody struggles somewhere because it's so overwhelming. Do you have any tips that you want to give away to someone who's joining or someone who's going to architecture school?
Right. So I think when my semester started, I was really conditioned into believing 2 things. Firstly, you're always supposed to be in studio and work no matter the hour of the day. And secondly, you have to work through nights. So the work that they give you is calculated according to like you have today and tonight, and you are required to produce this tomorrow morning. So what people in college made out of it was out of these 2 things that you're supposed to be in studio at night, and that sort of never made sense because even though it's fun, you end up losing sleep, you end up not working, and then just having a really unproductive day, and it's a bad cycle. You do not want that. So I think being productive in the hours maybe during the regular studio hours, if you work through them really properly and focus during those hours, you do not need all-nighters at all times. And they can be like, sometimes you do need them, but it cannot become a habit.
Maybe during the juries you don't have an option.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm so happy that you've realized this earlier in school.
Right.
But it took us a while to get to this conclusion. Because when you are in studio, you just want to have fun, you want to talk, you want to discuss.
Have fun.
You're discussing, and it's a very important part of the process. But like you said, if and when you are in the studio during the day and you concentrate and you sort out your work, rest of it becomes very easier. Exactly. You can just go home and sleep. Sometimes, not always, but at least on some days you can sleep.
You can sleep, you can have a social life. I remember in my first semester, I went to my favorite cafe after like 3 months or so, and I felt like I'm going back to my past life because I had never done this for so long. Yeah, so when in studio you're just playing and everything happens on campus, right? You're playing or you're either busy with some club activity or a lot of other fun things, and then the night is the only time where you compromise and sleep and catch up on work. But that cannot become a habit, basically. Yeah. When it becomes, you end up losing on a lot of other things. So,
and it's very important to take care of your health and your back. I have had classmates who had to leave this degree because of
my god. Oh wow.
We had like 2-3 people leave.
That's another thing. I mean, I had never thought that, there could be no chairs. There's just tools, and it's so annoying when you're new to it. Like, oh my god, it's just bad.
And it's
in
bad.
every way.
Find a good chiropractor. So, because, we introduced you as living life to the fullest, and I'm pretty sure you're very passionate about certain hobbies that you have outside architecture school. So could you tell me how important they are? What do you do? Which hobbies you do? And why they are important outside your architecture box?
So fortunately for me, a lot of my hobbies sort of aligned with architecture. Like I said, traveling and going to new places, or in my first year itself, I've had 2 really amazing trips to cities like Varanasi and even Kutch. But yeah, so Varanasi we saw with a really fun perspective. So my hobbies of going to new places was always taken care of, and sketching was always there with architecture. But other things, like I really like yoga and martial arts, or diving, or being with nature. That does take a toll because earlier I couldn't find a balance, so I didn't find time to do those things. But if you plan properly, I think it's possible to take an hour out of a day, or especially on the weekends, you do get the time to take time out and pursue them. It's obviously not, it changes, right? When you have juries or a lot of work, you get absolutely no time to do those things. But when you have time, you can sort of strike a balance. So how is it for you after you finished architecture school?
You know what? Thank you for asking. But I've always been an avid swimmer. And I promise I never left my hobby during 5 years of school. Probably there were days when I didn't sleep all night. I went to school. I'd come back in the evening, have my snack, my chai, whatever, and I'd go swimming. Because that one time window was so important for me to think and give my mind a refresh.
Right.
And that would actually reflect in my work.
Oh wow.
And it was so refreshing for me. No matter what happened, I never left that bit of me, because otherwise I would lose myself. So for me, maybe missing one outing with my friends was okay, but I would never give up on. And if nothing, I'd always sit at home half an hour, even something as simple as just listening to music on the swing. It would refresh me, because during juries I can't take out time, obviously, but on the regular days I would do that. And after architecture, the only bit that has changed is I can go in a more relaxed form to do that activity, but I still do.
That's amazing.
But I think hobbies are very important, and I keep repeating myself, no matter who you are, what profession you are in, you can't leave certain skills that you acquired from.
I think it also helps the creative process to not
Yeah.
to be to be having a time.
You
where
know,
you're
I'm
not-
swimming, I'm doing my lens, and you think, oh, she's enjoying the water. But what I'm thinking about is, oh, you know what? Maybe I can shift this room to this room in my plan after I go home, and maybe it will resolve this.
Yeah,
And actually, it doesn't happen sitting at home, but it happens there because
Right.
it's a different environment. So I'd recommend you, or like you said, you've been very passionate about martial arts.
Yeah.
Please do it. Like,
Yeah.
please do it. It's going to affect you in ways you can't even imagine it would. So anything else that you'd want to tell someone who is thinking about joining architecture school?
I think I don't know what other people do, but I feel architecture is a profession that anyone and everyone could enjoy. I mean, that's a very hard thing to say,
Yeah.
but it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And especially for people who are just curious about anything and everything, like
Yeah.
you said, you are. If you like to learn, there's just plenty of opportunities to learn anytime and anywhere, and it's way beyond a classroom.
That's true. That's true. Very,
Yeah.
very well drafted, Kiyosha, I'd say. But we can end this here. Thank
Right.
you for being a part of this, and thank you for sharing your opinions with all of us.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Beyond the nervous.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good one. Okay. I'll catch you later. Bye.
Bye.